start this evening for reasons which needed to be discussed in executive session. We'll get into once we get underway here. At this time, I'd ask for everyone to please rise for the flag salute followed by a moment of silent prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Borough Clerk could read the Sunshine Law at this time. I'd be appreciative.
October 19th, 2010. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey have been satisfied by the inclusion of the date, time, and place of this regular meeting in the annual schedule and notice of regular meetings of this governing body. Such annual schedule and notice of regular meetings is posted at Borough Hall, was sent to the record in the Press Journal, posted on the Borough website, and filed with the Borough of Dumont on January 5th, 2010. Council members Carroll.
Here.
Casper is excused. Freeman.
Here.
Mann.
Here.
Siciliano.
Here.
Savachansky. Here. Mayor McCann.
Here. As a result of our executive meeting, we have added Resolution 10278, the approval of Phase 1 remediation of Twimborough Field, not to exceed $52,000. Can I have a motion to accept the agenda as presented? Offered by Siciliano, seconded by Carrick. All in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? From time to time, and many of you who have been here before kind of know my spiel, but we get the chance, or I get the chance along with the governing body, to recognize certain individuals here in town who have made a lasting impression and are a product of many qualities of which we all strive for. And I see Sandy Fernandez here, who's a member of the Board of Education. I know that she shares a lot of those same objectives and goals that we do in developing the people that live in Dumont, that reside in Dumont, and the people who make their lives. And this evening I have the opportunity to recognize a young man. I'm going to do my best to enunciate your name correctly. They actually made me practice it. So at this time I'm going to ask Nicholas Sidowich. Sitovich, see, they made me do it wrong, to step forward for I have a proclamation for you. A proclamation by Office of the Mayor, Nicholas Sitovich, October 20th, 2010. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America organization is dedicated to serving the community by providing voluntary services that improve the quality of life within a community. Whereas Nicholas Sitovich, Troop 25, currently a junior at Dumont High School, started his involvement with scouting when he was 6 years old. And whereas Nicholas is varsity letterman for bowling on his school team and a junior varsity letterman in golf. Yeah. Very good. A lot better than mine. While pursuing a course schedule that consists of honors and advanced placing classes. And whereas Nicholas has held numerous positions while going through the ranks of Boy Scouts, and has also earned many merit badges and awards, ranging from Alpha Omega Religious Award, the World Conservation Award, Leave No Trace, Brotherhood Membership of the Order of the Arrow, and the Arrow of Light Award. Whereas Nicholas recently completed his Eagle Scout project at the Tenafly Nature Center, which consisted of 5 parts: rebuilding the fire ring at the demonstration area of the center, reinstalling benches, building a wood storage facility, water collection unit, holding a Leave No Trace class for center staff, and raising funds and soliciting donations for the project. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Matthew P. McHale, Mayor of the Borough of Dumont, do proclaim October 20th, 2010 as Nicholas Sitovich during which the entire community of Dumont joins Nicholas, his family, as well as his friends in celebration. He has extended every best wish on this special day in hope that his future holds the realization of every dream. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Councilman Stiliano, who has a number of people he'd like to recognize.
And I can call my co-chair, Ellen Luchansky, and my other co-chair, Raphael Calhoun. This relates to the Dumont Pasta Dinner and the 5K race. Janet Galligan, who also was a tremendous help in that, is here, as are many other volunteers, Councilman Carrick, and pretty much everyone on this dais. 4 individuals really went above and beyond. Sal, you want to come up here, buddy? This is Sal Maurice, and he runs the troop. As most of you know, the 5K race every year raises money for Dumont families in need. This year, about two or three days before we had our pasta dinner, a long-standing resident in Dumont passed away, Trish Murphy, and we dedicated the race, and I dedicated my run to Trish. I wish I could have done a little bit better with my time, but I did my best. But Sal, as soon as he had heard that we were running the pasta dinner and the 5K race, he offered his troop to help us out. And I put together some letters of appreciation for 4 members of his troop: Sal Maurice Jr., Christopher Stone, Matthew Stone, and Mark Ryman. And basically the letter says, I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank you for volunteering your time to help us with the Dumont 5K race on September 11, 2010, and the pre-race pasta dinner on September 10, 2010. As you know, these events have the dual purpose of bringing our entire community together while at the same time helping our friends and neighbors right here in Dumont. With your help, we were able to raise a record $13,000 to help Dumont families in need. On behalf of the Mayor and Council of the Dumont Delivers 5K Run Committee and the residents of our town, please accept my deepest appreciation for helping to make these events a great success. Thank you very much.
At this time, I'd like the governing body to entertain a motion to suspend normal proceedings so we can begin to address the issue which we discussed in executive session. Offered by Councilman Carrick, seconded by Councilman Nano. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we were running almost 15 minutes behind this evening was because we were discussing a matter of serious and grave concern to the borough. On September 29th of this year, my office received correspondence from the Department of Environmental Protection Agency regarding 5 open contamination cases at our Dumont DPW facility in the Aladdin Field area. Having first taken office in 2005 as a council member and then as the mayor in November of that year, it's taken that long for the matter to be brought to my attention. I'm not going to speak for the other members of the governing body, but I do know that they were just as much in the dark about this issue as I was. In the letter dated September 29th of September, the DEP outlines a chronology going back as far as 1986, when Mayor Bilbo Kikio was in office. Over a period of close to 10 years, there were numerous environmental situations that occurred at the DPW facility. The borough at the time, under the mayorship of Don Wynant, reacted by entering into negotiations with the Department of Environmental Protection. A number of consultants and attorneys were retained in a means of remediating this contamination. Memorandums of agreement were circulated between the Borough of Dumont and the Department of Environmental Protection. On or about 1996, the consultants that were retained on behalf of the borough demanded payment for the actions in which they were performing the remediation as agreed upon with the Department of Environmental Protection. Sadly, a similar situation has been found in the case history and the documents of this issue, that the borough failing to provide the adequate resources to pay, basically, for the services that were being provided, the remediation completed, and the borough's obligation met under the regulations of the Department of Environmental Protection at that time. From 1997 to 2001, a number of correspondence appeared in these files of which were not retained here in this facility. These files, this paperwork, was actually obtained by John Perkins, our borough administrator, after receiving the September 29th letter from the council at the time, Mr. William DiLorenzo, of the law firm of Knoll, Amoroso, Klein, Bierman in Hackensack. Fortunately, our former council had those documents on hand since, as I said, they were not here in the Borough Hall. As the mayor and someone who is the chief executive officer of this entity, I am deeply saddened and frankly angry as hell that documents related to such an important matter would not be found, would not be retained, would not be met under the Open Public Records Act. Regardless, in 2001, the file stopped, and for 9 years, there was no communication between the Department of Environmental Protection and this governing body and its respective officials at the time. We have been briefed by counsel. To my left, Mr. Greg Pastor. We have been briefed by our borough engineers. We will be pursuing criminal action and contacting the Attorney General's office for official misconduct so that this matter and those responsible can be held accountable. In the meantime, the Borough Council and the Executive Chamber has authorized our borough engineer to begin a proposal so that a LSRP, which is a state certified master, can work with us to begin a remediation plan. The contaminants that we are aware of this date are related to gasoline spills and their byproducts. There are a number of technical issues that are yet to be digested. There are a number of documents yet to be received by the Department of Environmental Protection. I'm saddened, actually, to have to report on this. I thought after 5 years, or almost 5 years, of trying to put this borough back on track, after taking numerous corrective action steps regarding our finances, holding the governing body accountable for our taxpayers, this is just another blaring example of malfeasance, of ignorance, and a total lack of responsibility by those who preceded me in this seat and those on this council, as well as the professionals that serviced the borough at that time. That lack of responsibility will undoubtedly add for additional costs to remediating this site, because clearly the regulations of which and the standards of which the cleanup must transpire have changed dramatically. They're much more stringent now. Let alone the most serious concerns are the potential health damages to those residents in the neighborhood who are downstream from the Brook Shield Hirschfield Brook, which flows to the eastern portion of the facility. As I said, I have authorized council with the agreement of the governing body and the council that we will be pursuing potential criminal liability for failing to act in this matter. In the next 2 weeks, we will be holding a number of meetings with key stakeholders, performing investigatory actions to fully understand the full extent of this contamination, of the risk factors, and certainly working to take immediate action in order to address these concerns, certainly these matters presented before us. So I do apologize again for our 50-minute delay. We've had some heavy stuff to digest. Over the course of the next day or two, in my capacity, I will be reaching out to members in the community, to residents. Certainly we have employees who work there. This is a very serious matter for me, and this is also something of which needs to be handled in a very, very professional manner, in a very communicative way. We don't know yet the full extent of the contamination, of its harm, if any. But the matter remains is that in my capacity, I need to engage as many of our residents as possible to begin a dialogue, to begin remediating this site, and to get the job done. At this time, I'll allow any other members of the council to share their thoughts or opinion on this. Councilman Siliano.
Mr. Mayor, when you say you're going to open up a dialogue with the residents of this town, I suggest that you start that dialogue with the residents of Omaha Street, which is the street where I grew up. On that street, to a person or to a household, there was a person in each household that had a debilitating disease, and most of the time it was cancer. And we've had several people pass away on that block at a very young age due to cancer or other such disease. And when we go to the wake, we'd say, you know, what's going on? Is this coincidence? Is there something that that we should know about as residents of Omaha Street? And I always felt it was just coincidence, but now I'm not so sure. I did speak with Mrs. Lowe and Mr. Lowe, Bill Lowe, just yesterday, and Bill Lowe suffered pancreatic cancer and was fortunate to be in that 0.01% that survived. But Mrs. Lowe has been saying for years that she felt that there was something that was just not right. The brook that you referenced runs right behind the houses on Omaha Street. And I hope to God that there's no connection ever made between the negligence or potential intentional conduct and potential criminal conduct of the prior administration and the illnesses that were suffered by our neighbors on Omaha Street, including, by the way, my mother also suffered a disease with no history. No other history in her family. She was among 7 siblings, and she's the only one that had this type of a disease.
Thank you, Councilman Stillian. Councilwoman Zimichanski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few months ago when we started the work on Twin Borough Field, the first thing that my capacity as rec liaison was to get testing done of Twin Borough Field. How anyone in their right mind could ever not do follow-up when it affects health is just the most disgraceful thing for anyone to do. And how they could have problems now, 20 years, 15 years, and to just sit back and with a good conscience let people get sick, God forbid it's from that, it's disgraceful. We've been picking up pieces for my 6 years on council from the old administration, and this is just absolutely appalling.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
If I may.
Councilman Mammoth.
I think on many levels I find this very disturbing. Starting with the fact that one of these records or of all to begin with. If it weren't for John's pursuing counsel at the time, and counsel holding his records and safe storing his records, we really wouldn't have any idea how deep and how wide this issue that we now face before us. Obviously, there are gaps in the timeline and documentation which current counsel has offered DEP. This just, I find it incredible for something that could have been adjudicated in the 90s, in the early 90s. We're looking at now, over 10, 15 years later, that we're saddled with an issue that we still really don't know the depth of the issue until testing is done, evaluations are made. So, I find this to be a cost that may wind up being a consequence to the borough. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Freeman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After reading all the documentation that we have, there's little in terms of detail and a lot in terms of questions. And obviously, from what we've all seen on this dais, it's very unfortunate that something that could have been remediated has not been remediated, and that could potentially have resulted in people being injured or having health issues is pretty horrible. But I think it goes without saying that everybody on this dais, including the mayor, council, John Perkins, everybody's doing everything they can to find out the appropriate information, make sure that we remediate this and take care of everything and make it right for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Freeman. Councilman Carter?
Mr. Mayor, you take care back in 1986, and now in 2010, costs and causes. And we're not going to get no insurance for this. The taxpayers are going to take this burden upon themselves.
Correct, yeah, we can have John. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
And what they're worried about bond issues and everything else, and what this is going to do us now.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Thank you, Councilman Carter. I'm going to have John Perkins here. We also have our engineers as well. We're going to move right to an open public session in case anyone has questions. We are going to do our best to answer them. Again, we're working with limited information, but John's going to go over some of the chronological steps as well as some of the financial impact.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the disheartening things about this is, as a borough administrator, is that we're always trying to find ways to save borough money, bring in money from grants and state departments. The issue here is an insurance, similar to what we've been doing with FEMA on some of our storms. The issue here is that as soon as we were notified of this issue and we got some paperwork back from the Department of Environmental Protection, I notified the Joint Insurance Fund, which is our carrier. Very, very disheartening to find out that we are not covered by insurance. The reason we're not covered by insurance is that when these issues, when the tanks were installed or when the assessments, you had to notify the insurance company about your assessments, your cars, your vehicles, your buildings. They were never notified about these tanks. When the issue came up about remediation issues initially, and when those tanks were pulled from the ground and there was a leak determined, the JIP was not notified as well. I've been told by the Joint Insurance Fund that we are not covered, not for one penny of the remediation for this issue. We've asked for token payments of approximately $10,000, which the JIP has done in the past, but not for contamination issues, environmental issues. So we're basically left holding the bag. The way this is going to, not only is it going to impact the taxpayer for the total cost, but we've got projects that we've got online right now that we're considering. One being a curb and sidewalk replacement, which we've been talking about for the last couple of years for about $300,000. My recommendation to the mayor and council is that we put that off. We may have to redirect that money because we don't know what the cost is going to be here. We've got the library project that we were ready to apply for a grant through historic preservation in Bergen County, a matching grant. My recommendation will be, when we get further into this, is that we hold off on that, because we really can't afford the bond for that, and then have to determine how much we're gonna have to bond for a year. Problem also exists, in my opinion, with the DEP. They came in and notified us, at the end of June, beginning of July, that they were trying to close out this file. The fact of the matter is, it was made comment, by members of the, council, that if this issue was resolved when that plan was first implemented, back in '96, I believe, we wouldn't even be talking about this now, we'd be talking about the projects that we want to do. At substantially less cost back then, as compared to what it's gonna cost for the professionals of remediation now, especially with the DEP regulations as to how to get rid of some of this soil, contaminated soil. Very disheartening, and, I know that the mayor and council are very upset. I can tell by conversations I've had with them and what happened in executive session, but I can tell you that the entire staff, including members of the DPW, were very disheartened by what's come to our attention in the last couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to open up to the public for any questions, concerns, comments. Offered by Councilman Carrick, seconded by Councilman Freeman, all in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, actually on any issue, step forward. Stand and come on up. If you could just state your name and address for the record. Also, if you have a question, if it's answered or it's not answered, I think all of us will make ourselves available, but certainly we have our engineers here, we have our attorney. So if you want to talk offline too, we'll accommodate that as best as our ability. You can state your name and address for the record.
Sandy Fernandez, 199 Summit Avenue. I have a question. When I was in executive session, are there monitoring wells currently around those areas?
Yes.
There are.
Yes.
They were installed in the mid
Mid to late, 1993.
Do you have a report from the company that did the test? Are they for water testing or for soil testing?
No, it's for water table testing to find out how much product is in it.
One of the issues that we ran into is that since we did not have any of the documentation that we received so far is limited from our council. I would have to assume, and we'll know shortly, if the DEP has those reports on file.
We don't have any of them.
We have requests from the Department of Environmental Protection, full files on every case that is open, and that request went in as soon as we became aware of it, so we're waiting for that to come in.
Isn't that, so the unearthing
There were no documents whatsoever on this issue, on any of the 5 open cases, on any of the agreements that were entered into, any of the correspondence.
So historically, if we could have proven that it had dissipated over time through the
Right.
test, we can't do that because we don't have data on that.
Not at this moment.
The company that they had not paid, would they have happened to have, I mean, they had to come monitor the well.
Right.
No?
John, I know you had some conversations.
Yeah, my understanding, the company that initially, did the test is no longer in business. That's what I've been told.
So,
I heard somebody mention an NFA letter as well. Did we get an NFA letter?
No, there wasn't.
Did somebody say that? I heard they
and
said.
MOA,
No, NFA, no further action by orders of DEP.
Well, no, it's not an NFA. They just notified, the borough that if in fact, they didn't have proof that the plan was being followed, that the, MOA was no longer, in effect. And that came from the DEP. So there's no action by the borough.
Okay, so then we have to,
enter into, right, what we need to do is, we have to hire what is called an LSRP.
right.
At that point, the LSRP will formulate a remediation plan, and basically we have to start over. I hate to boil it down that much. Right, exactly. One of the issues and one of the reasons, was just the discussion about how far, we know as of 1996 what the contaminants were. We don't have any reason.
Everything was petroleum based.
Right, we don't have,
All that.
all that's petroleum, but the thing is, we don't, because almost 14 years ago, and so we need to do the new testing. It's a nightmare. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, we're also dealing with 5 separate incidents here. This
Correct.
is not just one case, this is 5 separate incidents with 5 separate files, all of which seem to disappear, either intentionally or through, I mean, you can only imagine, Greg, you had gotten some records from the old attorney, and from what you described in executive session, there was, you obtained voluminous records, and you're in the process of getting your arms around it. So it's not like we're talking about 1 or 2 pieces of paper per file that disappeared. We're talking about hundreds of pieces of paper, or hundreds of letters, or hundreds of communications in 5 separate instances with 5 separate file numbers with the DEP that have disappeared.
All of the correspondence and documentation, hundreds of pages, I think that's what's in over in John's life, was all addressed to the borough.
And there was, actually, you said some of the file was sent to us, we sent this file directly to Mayor Wynant, and at the time the borough administrator was Jack Hagel.
That's when they were addressees of the correspondence.
And some council people received communications.
And there were CCs to Councilman Martinelli at the time, was, apparently had some, some hand in it, and again, very difficult to determine exactly, what was going on. I think there are holes in the timeline, but yeah, in one word, yes, and all of that is gone.
Well, from the bottom line is they knew exactly what was going on, and they just brushed it under the table.
Whether they were told, what they knew, I can't tell you, but they were told what was going on.
Anyone else from the public at this time? Yes, sir. Just state your name and address for the record.
South Maurice, 25 Druid Avenue. I grew up, like Harry, down on Locust Avenue, and I can't tell you how long I rode bicycles and dirt bikes back before the swim club was built, back before the senior building was built, before anything was back there. It was nothing but piles of leaves.
Right.
You have the results for the 1996 test, all the levels.
We don't have.
You don't have.
We're in the process of getting our.
Of getting there. But you do have the levels that are there currently.
No.
No testing has been done as of today.
Right, and that's what we're taking immediate action.
Oh, all right.
Just to get an
So,
understanding.
once you get
Yeah.
the results in from 96,
Compared to today.
compared to today, then the remediation may be different.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
Yeah.
More than likely, it'll probably be less.
I hope it is. I pray it is.
Yeah. With, my knowledge of construction and dealing with soils, you got a lot of water moves, contaminants move downstream. And downstream from there, because I used to build skid rafts, and when it would rain real heavy, we would go down the stream into the Milford, into Oradell, all the way down to the gate. To the gate, down in the bottom of, you go down past the high school, the stream comes down to the high school.
Yeah.
So, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I put the car on,
Yeah.
let's get the test levels up before everybody gets crazy. Let's see what's there
That's a good
first.
point. That's a good point.
And then take it from that point forward.
That's a good point.
If the engineers over here, they need volunteers to do any water testing, my scouts are more than willing to go in the brook and take water samples.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Sal.
More than willing.
Thank you.
One other thing, because we gotta get out of here this tomorrow. For the merit badge that we're doing, we will need a copy of the budget.
Okay. We can.
So if I could send one of the scouts to come and see you
Tomorrow afternoon, we ready? Or
tomorrow
whenever?
afternoon, if you wanna have a couple days, it's a couple days, no worries. Because they're gonna need it for the merit badge that they're doing. All right, thank you very much.
Sal, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And we probably take you up on that offer.
264 is here to serve as a merit badge.
I appreciate it. Ms. Green, you can state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Adrian Green, Street. Just a question. How come we didn't hear about this for how many years?
9.
Yeah, but how come?
That's a great question. You're absolutely right, because it's a complete government breakdown on the state level, on the borough
So
side.
it's not just us, it's.
Right, for 9 years, they didn't even pick up the phone and call.
That's what I understood, but I wasn't quite sure.
Oh, no, it's very much, yeah, you got that.
Somebody else has to be example.
Absolutely, and one of the things I intend on doing, sending a letter to the governor and to Commissioner Martin on it, because God knows how many other towns are in a similar situation. Please state your name and address for the record.
Kai Chen, 90 Peak Road. Mr. Mayor, with regards to the documents, I know that the borough doesn't have a lot right now, but I would like to ask that as these documents are made available, can you make them available onto the borough website so that not just myself, not just reporters or the media can access them without having to follow over?
I'll take it into consideration.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to close at this time? Offered by Councilman Carroll, seconded by Councilman Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. Moving along, if the council would like to do brief, Councilman, brief report, I'll entertain it at this time. Yeah, let's do minutes. Sorry, we gotta do minutes first. Alright, hold on. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of September 21st, 2010 executive meeting? Offered by Councilman Carrot, seconded by Councilman Zimchowski. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Carroll,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Nana,
Abstain.
Stelliano,
Yes.
Tomachino.
Yes.
Can I have a motion on the September 21st, 2010 public meeting minutes?
So moved.
Offered by Stelliano, seconded by Freeman. Roll call vote.
Councilmembers Carroll,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Nana,
Abstain.
Stelliano.
Yes.
Tomachino.
Yes.
Can I have a motion on the October 5th, 2010 closed session minutes?
Second.
Offered by Councilman Carrick, seconded by Councilman Freeman. Roll call vote.
Councilmembers Carroll,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Nana,
Yes.
And
Stelliano.
Yes.
Tomachino.
Yes.
can I have a motion on the October 5th, 2010 executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Offered by Councilman Carrick, seconded by Councilman Freeman. Roll call vote.
Councilmembers Carroll,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Nana,
Yes.
Stelliano,
Yes.
Tomachino.
Yes.
Thank you. John's going to suspend his report this evening. Members of the council, you're welcome to do so as well. Councilman Freeman,
Yeah, I have nothing of significance to report, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Manna.
I will defer this, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Carrick.
Move to confirm, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Carrick. Councilman Zimchowski.
I defer also, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Stelliano.
As do I.
If anyone has any specific questions, I do ask you to encourage you to reach out to us. I think you've heard enough from me probably tonight. It's been the focus of my last 2 weeks, and will probably be the focus of my next 6 weeks. Can I have a review of the consent agenda items?
All items with an asterisk are considered to be non-controversial by the council and will be approved by one motion. There may be further discussion prior to the vote upon request of a member of the public or a council member. Also, any item may be removed for further discussion or roll call vote, in which case the item will be removed and considered in its normal sequence as part of the general order of business.
We have resolutions 10275, the bills list, resolution 10276, the authorization of shared services. 10275 is on non-consent. 10276, authorization of shared services agreement between the Dumont Members Riverside Cooperative and the County of Bergen for mounted infrared restoration system for asphalt. Resolution 10277, community development account to be opened at North Jersey Community Bank. And lastly, resolution 278, authorization of phase 1 Twin Borough Park remediation, not to exceed $52,000. Can I have a motion? So moved. Offered by Councilman Carrick, seconded by Councilman Freeman. Any discussion? Can I have a motion to open up to the public on the consent agenda items only?
So moved.
Offered by Stelliano, seconded by Carrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question on resolution 10276, 10277, and 10278, I ask that you step forward and state your name and address for the record, as well as which resolution you're speaking to. Can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Offered by Carrot.
Second.
Seconded by Freeman. All in favor? We have a motion offered by Councilman Carrot, seconded by Councilman Freeman on the resolutions consent agenda. Can I have a roll call vote?
Councilmembers Carrot,
Yes.
Freeman,
I just want everyone to know that on 10-278, the borough engineer consulted with us and told us that the cost for that project was reasonable and in line, and there was nothing that was there that was unreasonable, so I'm voting yes.
Thank you, Councilman Freeman.
Welcome.
Nana,
Yes.
Stelliano,
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Thank you. We have resolution 10275, the bills list for non-consent. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Offered by Councilman Stelliano, seconded by Councilman Freeman. Any discussion at this time? Hearing and seeing none, can I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Offered by Councilman Carrot, seconded by Councilman Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you have a question regarding resolution 10275, I ask that you step forward and state your name and address for the record. Please state your, yeah, thank you.
Hi, Trent, Nancy Good.
I have a question regarding one item. This is, check 48371, check made out to C3 Citizen Communication Center, $4,500. I just, like to ask, what is the duration of service that I believe you were paying monthly, Michael?
No, I believe we're paying quarterly.
Right, well, paying quarterly for monthly. Okay, September.
Let's see, what's that?
Yeah, C3.
Yeah, September 30th was the last.
All right, so they offer their services to the borough until September 30th?
No, we paid them on that check. Yes,
So they rented their services until September 30th?
correct.
Okay. C3, when they were the borough, the website operator, they also operated, for the borough, if you want, a Twitter site. And the Twitter site, seemed to be alive until August 30th. And I believe that was around the time that the new website took over. So,
There was a 30-day overlap.
I'm sorry?
There was a 30-day overlap.
So,
So is the Twitter account live or dead now?
the Twitter account appears not active.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
What's the question?
Right, the question is that the site seems to be active till August 30th, so
Okay.
from September 1st to September 30th, if they were not active, well.
The site was not active or the Twitter site was not active?
Well, the Twitter site seems to be with when they were operating, so if they came off and the new provider came on September 1st, then I'm just not clear.
October 1st.
October 1st. That's September.
They didn't tweet for a month.
Right, they didn't tweet for a month because there were no updates.
That's not true. They were updated on a number of issues up until the time we switched over to the new site.
They just chose not to tweet.
Okay, but this is all done automatically. I'm not accusing you.
Well, I'm not saying you are, I'm just confused as to, so the site was live and no one tweeted for 30 days.
Well,
Is that the gist of what you're saying?
Right, the
No
last
one-
tweet was on August 30th.
Last tweet was on August 30th.
Right.
But the website was still up and running, provided by C3 to September 30th.
Well, sure.
No, we're telling you it was.
Oh.
So they just chose not to tweet they didn't tweet for 30
Okay,
days.
so they just turned the automatic, updates off, because I know that every time there was an update made to the website, they would tweet.
I'd have to find out. I mean, I'd also like to know what the value of tweeting is, so I could ask for a reduction in payment. Because they didn't provide a tweeting service for 30 days. For the entire month of September, they chose not to tweet.
Sure.
But they were updating it.
Sure. Well, listen, Mr. Mayor, if you wanna find out, find out.
No, I do want to know. I want to know why they didn't tweet. Like,
I mean,
I don't understand why you wouldn't do it. It's a very simple process. I mean, we all have Facebook and tweeting,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I don't know why they would do that. I just wanted to make sure we're clear, because the service was offered through the 30th of September. They last tweeted on August 30th.
Right.
We paid them through September, and they fail to provide a certain service, which...
You go to, the tourist site and check out yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm very familiar with the incapacities of the new website. Believe me, I'm not very happy with it, so,
Okay.
you know.
No, it's not, of course.
I would love to. I mean, perhaps you could offer your services to the borough to help us improve it. I would love to see that, because I just think in this day and age with tweeting and Facebook and all the different capacities, we got Flickr now, and it's hard to keep up. But even just YouTube, you know, and gracefully, you know, yeah, it's, you know, it's good stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the bills list? Can I have a motion to close? Offered by Councilman Freeman, offered by Carrick, seconded by Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a motion offered by Councilman Stiliano, seconded by Councilman Freeman on the bills list. Can I have a roll call? Any further discussion? Hearing none, can I have a roll call vote?
Councilmembers Carrick,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Mann,
Yes.
Siliano,
Yes.
Demichansky.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Okay. All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for our late start this evening. We're all available. Our contact information is on the borough website, as well as if you call the clerk's office, they will get in touch with us immediately. We all have access to our direct email. If you speak to anyone in your travels, certainly communication and the correct flow of factual communication and information is the most important aspect of not only governing but regarding a situation like Twinsboro. All too often, misinterpretation and misrepresentation leads to an inaccurate synopsis of what could be a very, and is, until I have the data, serious situation. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So offered by Councilman Carrick, seconded by Councilman Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be November 4th, not the 2nd, because it's election day, Thursday the 4th, 6